Hello, baseball way lifers. How you all doing? Long time no see. I've been a little bit busy. Haven't had enough time here to really pop on and say hello. Trying to do the site and everything else that goes on in the world. That kind of sucks. The whole world, baseball way of life should be all about baseball. That's why we call our group Baseball a Way of Life. But just want to touch base with everybody, see how everybody's doing. Check on in, see how you're doing. If you're rocking and rolling, doing the strolling. I'm a poet and I don't even know it. But like I said, I wanted to do these every day, and I'm trying. I'm trying, folks. I really am. But some days it's just a little bit tough to get on here. Uh, but I'm going to try my best to make it as often as possible because you guys discuss so many great things. And one of the topics we discussed recently was brought to our attention by one of our favorite group members, Alan Werner. Alan Werner posed the question, what year is your favorite MLB season? Well, we all have a lot of great MLB seasons, don't we? And you know what was shocking about this? And I tried to post as many as I could up there that YouTube would allow me to, is that almost everybody posted a different year. There were very few repeats as to what year was uh, your favorite year. We didn't see too many repeats, and that amazed me. So that shows you that your special year has a different meaning from everybody else's special year. And that's the beauty of baseball. I didn't post mine, and I'll start the ball rolling by telling you what I think. I gave this some thought, and I said, okay, what is my favorite baseball year? And that would have to be 1973. Now, I'll tell you why 1973, because in the summer of 73, I turned 12 years old. I had yet discovered rock and roll. The Beatles, I knew, but the Beatles, when I got into high school, were my first obsessed band that I was obsessed with, and I got into music and sports at that time. And I liked all the other sports too. But as far as baseball, it had to be 1973 because I still wasn't working in the summertime. I was playing baseball all year round, summertime, organized leagues. I was in the Little League at the time, I think at the highest level. And then 13, I went what they call Babe Ruth League. That was the following year, I think. And I lived and died with Major League Baseball. I can tell you honestly, I would sleep till like 10, 11 in the morning. And then I don't know how we did it. There was no phones, no cell phones or whatever. But we would go down. Somehow and I can't remember how we did it. We would organize games at a field built for like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds down the block. And we would actually play baseball all afternoon. And then we would watch the games on TV and then talk about it, the games again the next day. And when it was bad weather, well, you know what happened? We were playing Stratomatic baseball. And when my friends weren't around, I was playing Stratomatic baseball solo. I just loved and devoured baseball. And the beautiful thing about 1973 for me was being a New York Met fan. It was a horrible year until the Mets had that run in September and actually made it to the World Series. A miracle finish. They had one hell of a September. And it's a year I'll never forget. I was still innocent. I wasn't working. My mind wasn't corrupted yet. I really had no other passions. I love sports, but baseball was my favorite. And just good times. Now, I tried to put as many of your responses on here as I could to see what was on your guys' mind. Uh, I'm getting some messages here. Okay, sorry about that. That's what happens when you go live. Uh, but what I want to do is just go over everyone's favorite year and see if I can come up with something. And you guys can leave comments. Now, when you comment here, sometimes when you're commenting on Facebook, I just got Facebook user. So I'm going to try and go into the actual group site and see. I usually can see who's posting what by name on the group site itself. So if you can bear with me. Okay, Lawrence Perlmutter says 1978 and 1984. So he had 2 years that were his favorite. I'm curious as to why. I'm trying to put a correlation between 78 and 84. 84 was the year Tigers won, and 78 was the year the Yankees won, if I'm correct. That was their second year in a row winning the World Series. So I'm trying to put the two and two together, and Detroit had that fantastic year where they went like 35-5 to start off the year, something like that, as I recall. Well, I'm wondering. But Dan Shirley was a little bit more succinct, and I thank Dan for that. He says 2010 was my favorite season. The Giants won the World Series. I waited what seemed like forever. And Dan, I can hear you. I hear you, because Giants are one of the teams that it's amazing what happened to them in the 2010 decade. They won 3 World Championships, and they really didn't do much the rest of the way. Like, they would win a championship, then do terrible the next year, as I recall. But the thing is, the ultimate goal in baseball is to win a World Championship. And by golly, that's what the Giants were doing. And that's all you have to do. Now, as I'm looking here, I'm just looking at some of the comments as they scroll by here. We have Paul Cherry, 1978. He has 3 baseballs and 2 hearts there. So 78 was special to him, too. I wonder if it's the same thing. The Yankees, maybe? Don Kecko says 1985. Was that the year the Cardinals, Don? Is that why? John Murdoch might have been a Tiger fan, too. He says 84. John Quinn, 2004. And I bet I know why with John. I bet it was the Red Sox curse being over. Dan Wiener comes this year and then next year. And I bet Dan next year is going to say that his 2 favorite seasons are this year and next year again. I'm almost willing to take that to the bank. So I know a lot of you guys aren't going to be changing your answers. And I don't think Dan Wiener is going to be changing his answer either. Casey Baker says 1967. Was that because the Cardinals and Bob Gibson and the Miracle Red Sox, that World Series? I'm curious. John Velarde says 70s, early 80s. I'm wondering if John has the same feelings as me. Those were his years where he started getting into baseball as a teenager. But like I said, if these are what I have listed on the scroll below are some of the responses I've gotten, and it's amazing that you guys all have different years. And I'm always curious. Like Marvin Duchamp, I think, had the furthest back year, 1957. He said that was Ted's and Stan's last great years. And those were 2 of the best hitters of all time. And I'm sure it was pleasurable to see that. John Weigel says 2000 or 2015. I'm wondering why. I bet I know why Mark Caminati likes 1980. Could it be Tug McGraw and the Philadelphia Eagles? Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Not this time. I meant the Phillies. I know Mike's a big, big, big Philly fan. Geeker Cruisin says, easy. 2016. Well, tell us why. Tell us why, Geeker. Could it be that they finally put up the big W to fly up there all winter long, and we had a World Championship? Who did that? Was one of the greatest World Series too, by the way. We had 2 underdogs finally going at it, and it was fun. That was a fun series, and the way it ended, you didn't even have to be rooting for either team. It was just a fun World Series. James Hoyer says 1986. Is James a Met fan like me? John Williams says 1972. Now, 1972, that was the Amazing A's against the Reds. Do I stand correct on that? John Velarde says 70s, early 80s. Oh, he did give a response. When baseball was baseball, pitching, defense, stolen base, hit and run, sack bunt, suicide, squeeze, high and tight, complete games, breaking up a double play with a hard slide. Baseball like it used to be. And you know what? That's the game I grew up with too. A lot of strategy involved. And if you look back, you can't even really remember the managers today, like what impact they have on the game. But back then, managers played a key role. You had your Earl Weavers, your Sparky Andersons, your Billy Martins. And Gene Walk, who had like the least talent around, he would do whatever he needed to do to have his team win. And he was like the king of the sacrifice bunt. And now you don't even see the sacrifice bunt anymore. So a lot of managers knew how to utilize their talent back then. That was back in the day when relievers pitched over 100 innings a year, pitched 2-3 innings every time they got a save. They earned their saves. It wasn't uncommon to see a relief pitcher pitch 3 innings like Sparky Lyle and Goose Gossage. Ed Mark says 1973. Is that because the A's winning, or like I spoke before, the Mets coming through with the Miracle World Series? Chad Odom says 1988 and 2020. I will bet my bottom dollar that Chad is a Dodger fan. And I was happy to see the Dodgers win last year because I think they've had so many good teams in the past decade. It was finally due for them. And I'm glad to see that they won because the Dodgers do it the right way. They know how to rebuild, and they know how to utilize the farm system, and they know how to make the key transaction. And I'm glad that all Dodger fans got to celebrate last year. It was good to see. What are some of the other years we have to go? Wasn't able to post the link the way I had wanted to. But we'll keep scrolling till I get to that post. I should have had it up there. But like I said, that was a great question. Like I said, we get great questions all the time. And I want to thank you guys for that. Alan Warner is the thing I like about Alan is he poses questions that people respond to. And his posts are actually ones that start conversations. And there's nothing better than having a good baseball conversation. Brian Anderson says 1988. James Kerr says 67. Rhodes Prince, he has quite a few. I wonder how old Rhodes is. If you don't mind me asking, Rhodes, let us know how old you are. 1941, Ted and Joe. 1946, the Cards and Sox. 57, the Braves over the Yanks. 67, the AL pennant race. 1968, Tigers and Cards. That's the first World Series I remember watching was the Tigers and Cardinals. And there was something about Mickey Lolich that always stuck in my head. And I became a Met fan, too, in 69 when I made my first trip out to Shea Stadium. But I did appreciate the Tigers when they won the World Series that year. In 75, the Reds and the Sox, which was the Red Sox, and that was something else. I remember all those games where I think they were all night games, and they were just dramatic. That's when baseball became a big primetime event. You ask me, was that 75 World Series, the Carlton Fisk game, the Game 7 game? Jim O'Brien says 1996. Is that because they hoisted the pennant back up in the Bronx that year? Dan Abonzio says 1980. Must be a Philly fan. Norman Ross says 1975 Reds and Red Sox 7-game series, the Fisk home run. My favorite rookie of the year, Fred Lynn. Was Fred also the MVP that year? Might be. He batted .331, over 100 RBIs, and came within a few feet of a 4-homer game. Freddie was doing it all that year. Joe Basio says 1967, my first Cardinals team. Mark Logan says 95, 84, 81, 78, and 77. Interesting. Different teams won the pennant that year, so I know there has to be some method to the madness with that selection. And then you have John Keenan saying 1969. Now, I know John's a Met fan. He wears his Met fandom on his sleeve. He's not afraid to pull any punches either. James Wilson Jr. says 1968. The year of the pitcher. Is it because the year of the pitcher, or is it because the Tigers won the World Series? Kenneth Talbot, 1980. Dan O'Connell, 69. Amazing that Dan O'Connell's at 69. Steve Hengel says 1998. Pure domination by the New York Yankees. Greatest baseball team of my lifetime. Now, the beautiful thing about that Yankee team is people forget that they were playing in the steroid era of baseball. We had your McGuires and your what's that other knucklehead? Sosa hitting balls out of the ballpark and everyone hitting 50 homers. The Yankees just played like a team. Derek Jeter, I'll give him credit. He's a superstar. You could say Mariano Rivera was a superstar. But that was one team that was stacked with talent from 1 through 25, and that's what made them so great. On any given day, someone could fill out and just perform, and they just annihilated you. I mean, O'Neal, Williams, are they Hall of Famers? No, but they were key parts of that ball club. You can go right through that roster. These guys were all above average players. And I think analytically, that's what teams need to do is just have above average ball players and take it from there. Uh, you don't need the one superstar. You just need to be solid at every position and have an above average player. When you build your ball club, and I think that's exactly what the Yankees did. Brent Kittle says 1971. Must be a Pirate fan. Jim Aveni said 1961. I became interested in baseball. Great home run race with the M boys. Bob Craig says 77 and 78. Bob, I bet you're a Yankee fan. Leo Dioretto says 2004. Leo, are you a Red Sox fan? Richard Barnes says 1989 or 2012. That's an interesting one. Bill Smith, he must love every baseball season he's ever witnessed because he said every one since 1953. Mark Masillo says 1971. Don Lobb, who's a member of my other baseball group, New York Mets Baseball Way of Life. So if you're a Met fan and haven't joined it, you need to join it. He says 1986. Scott Walker, 1998. Joey Buchholz, another diehard Met fan who you see popping in on the my Met group in here, says 1986. And, oh, by the way, I do a Monday. Joey has a site, Baseball Utopian Baseball Universe, where we update what's going on in his. I'm not going to say it's a fantasy league, but it's a concept he came up with, which puts all the great players in the past, mixes them up on his team, most of them on their respective teams. And we talk about what's going on in his site once a week, every Monday at 8:30 a.m. But you guys, like I said, it's amazing. I'm amazed that you guys are fantastic, period. But the way you give deep thought into everything that we discuss here, and it's amazing. Oh, Lawrence Perlmutter says the reason for those two, I was a bat boy. He said 1978 and 1984. Lawrence, can you give us more details? What team were you a bat boy for? I'm sure you have great stories. And if you ever want to hop on and come on, we could do a broadcast together and talk about your bat boy years whenever you want. It doesn't have to be in the future or whatever. It would be great conversation. I'm sure everyone would be glad to hear what you have to say. So if you have the will to actually discuss this, we can discuss it. I'm sure everyone's amazed. I work with a guy, a younger gentleman who was a bat boy for the Cleveland Indians in the 90s, and he's got some great stories. He tells me who the good ball players are, who the bad ones are, et cetera, et cetera. But I won't go into detail here to protect his name, and I will protect the players themselves because it didn't happen to me, but if it did happen to me, I would share it. So, Lawrence, if you ever feel free, you can shoot me, and this is for everybody else watching the YouTube cast. You can subscribe below. We'd be glad to have you. And if you ever need to reach me, like I say, anybody could hop on one of these podcasts. We can talk about whatever you want. If you have something you want to promote, if you have something you want to just talk about, if you're a writer, if you have a podcast, we're here to spread the good word of baseball. It's not about this site. It's about the game of baseball. So just reach out to me. I'm at PHILSTAN41@gmail.com. Now, like I say, whenever I see a post and I figure, a lot of people responded to it, a lot of people want to talk about it, I really don't comment on your post too much. I let it flow. I let you guys take care of the conversation. I may ask the question, but I don't want to dominate it. But here, I'll give you my opinion on these YouTube casts. And I think it would just be great if you guys actually hopped on board once in a while and discussed whatever's on your mind too. Or you figure out one of the topics that are going on in the group and we could talk about it there. But that's going to be it for now. Now, like I said, I hope to be on here on a daily basis. I really do. It's just that the past few days, week or so has been really crazy. But I love doing this. I want to make this site more interactive. And I'm so glad you guys are hopping on and you've emailed me and told me how much you like it. So I really do appreciate that. But that's going to be it for this one. As you can see, everybody, the only year I can say had multiple repeats was 1986. And I think that's a lot of the Met fans there. We had a couple 69s, a couple 2004s, and it's very easy to figure out these teams. That had to be the Red Sox. Uh, a lot of 77 and 78s with the Yankees. I mean, more than one. But other than that, we had, like I said, from 1957 all the way to 2016, even 2020, the Dodgers COVID World Series. Now, I'm not going to say the COVID World Series. It just happened during the year that baseball experienced COVID. To me, a championship's a championship. So it is amazing we have such a wide diversity of baseball fans in our group. And I really, really appreciate that because it opens up so much to talk about and so much to learn from each other. So until the next one, subscribe, like, or dislike if you don't like it. I'm open to criticism. And if you ever need to reach me, I'm at philstan41@gmail.com. That's it for now. We'll talk soon, hopefully tomorrow, but you never know when I'll pop on. It could be on 2, 3 times a day. I'm going to try and do at least one a day to get to know you guys better. And like I said, down the line, we can have people pop on or whatever and make this even more fun and make this the best baseball group in the world. And I think it is right now. So take care, guys. Have a good day.